Today we're making windows. These windows. Nemi's painting. She is, she's nearly done actually. Have a quick look at the door. Check it out. So that's the colour we've gone for on the door. Anywho. So that's our measurement of window number 1. So it was about 600mm wide by about 510. However, we want to leave at least 5mm gap just to leave a bit of wiggle room. So we're going 595 by 505. That's the external size of the window. Now what we've done is we've already cut the wood. So these are 595 long and these are 505 long. So what the plan is those at the bottom, those on the sides, like so. And what we're going to do is, that's how it's going to sit. Not exactly like that. But what we've got to do is cut out. So we're going to cut half of this and half of this. And that will then join and be flat, so that just gives more surface area then for the glue to sit, and it's just a much sturdier fixing. So to do that, we're going to use a hacksaw to cut there, and then we've got a routing tool, that thing there, that beast, because then at least the routing tool you can set the depth, so at least every cut, every one of these will be exactly the same, which is what you want. And it'll be a nice clean cut. So what we'll have is something like this. So that's one piece, and you can see there we've got that bit cut out, and then that's the other piece with that bit cut out. So then all this surface area here can all be glued. So that's how it's going to work. We'll cut, so the piece of wood's 45mm deep, so that piece will be half of 45, which is 22.5, and that'll be 22.5 as well, and that will be, this bit's going to be 45, isn't it, there. So then all pieces will do that, so that what they'll do then is they will join together like this. So what I've done is just cut that line there with a wood saw, just to bring it to there, and then we're going to just router this out. So the bit I've got in the router is just a flat bit there, you can see, just a flat bit. So all that will do is it's set to that height, so it will keep all this perfectly level. Then you can cut it with a hacksaw, but it's a bit uneven, so we'll just nibble this away, and then we'll do the same to this one, and then hopefully those two will join together. See now how that fits together, just nice and snug. It's not the perfect join in the world, but it's the best what we can do. So you'll see it will join together a bit like that. So we've cut all the bits down, so we've got 2 longer bits and 2 shorter bits. Now everything's routed, ready. So what we'll do is just lay it out. So these pieces will go on there, and this piece will go at the bottom here. Basically, that is our window. Now we need to just sand the routed bits down a little bit and just neaten them up. So that's the only thing with doing it all by hand, and even with a router, there's quite a bit more prep work to do. But you get to make your own window. So you get to this point and measure it to make sure it's the right size. So from there it's looking 595, which it is, and this way was 505. Just slightly over, but that's not an issue. We can always do a good sand after. So there we are. Now the next thing we've got to do is, there's a little lip there which you want to get rid of. So we're going to, you can use a planer to take the level off this, obviously if you've got a workshop, but we're going to use the router again, just set it just below that mark. So this will be the face, so this is the outside of the van. Inside the van's not a problem, but the outside I want this to be nice and flush. Fortunately the days are going colder. You can see I'm fully wrapped up today, and it's only been one day. It was lovely yesterday, but oh well, another day. So 24 hours late, not 24 hours, overnight, sorry. We clamped the window frames. So you see I showed you before how we'd routed all the bits out and the joints. So what we did last night was caked all the joints in wood glue, and we just put a screw in on the diagonal through there just to secure it in place, and then fixed it down. Bit of wood, some clamps to hold that one, and that one we just fixed it with a bit of wood, just so then it keeps, because this wood's flat, perfectly flat, it just means then it keeps it perfectly flat and square as the glue dries, because sometimes the wood can warp and change, so it might bend it out of shape slightly. So at least with this, the glue's going to dry and hold it fully square. So there we are. For sanding, these are my tools. Here are my friends. Now, again with tools, we've been lucky because I've collected these over many years. To be honest, the only sanding tool you really need is just a block of wood. So I've got a sturdy block of wood. Make sure it's flat. It's better than, obviously, because if you use your hand with that, it's not going to be flat, and it could, because you're putting pressure on with your fingers, they're not flat. So use a block of wood, and you've got a flat sanding paper, bit of sanding paper. So that's obviously more elbow grease, but on a day like today, it'll soon warm you up, which is great. Now, the other two ones I've got, this one has been amazing. Now this is just a little Ryobi one, which is fantastic. We've done all sorts with this. Now it does vibrate a lot, it's quite noisy, but there's different grades of sandpaper. So we use an 80, we normally use an 80 and a 120 grit. So 80's more harsh, and then a 120 is just afterwards, just to smooth it a bit. But this is great. This is kind of, if you want to buy a power tool for sanding, this is absolutely awesome. It's well worth an investment. If I'm honest, I don't know how much it was off the top of my head, but I'll find it and I'll put a link in the description for you below so you can have a look. And the other thing we've got is belt sander. So this is a 240 volt plug-in belt sander. Now this is for like more heavy duty sanding. There's like a flat plate there. This belt spins round, as I will show you now, like this. So it's got two handles, which is needed, different speed settings, and that's good for really getting deep. So you can see how good my skills were with the router to start with. Not very good, so I need to sand this flat, so it needs quite a decent bit of layer taking off, which is what this will do. So you can just sit there on it with this and it will really take it down. So I think we've got an 80 grit and a 120 grit for this one, but the only trouble with this is it can take too much off. So this is more for sorting out your errors, like these errors. So you can see with the belt sander now how it's, where that was got all bobbles and imperfections in it. Still a couple of little bits to get out with the other sander, but you can see how much that's took the layer down and made it really nice and smooth. So the whole thing's lovely and smooth now, which is great. So now I'll just go over with just a little sander with some fine, probably 120, or I think we've got like 150 or 250 in that, just to make this really smooth. and then it's on to the other sides. Next job is routering. So this is the outside edge here, which is flat, and the inside edge is this part. So this is where obviously the Perspex will sit in, and then we'll put beading inside there. So that's the inside. So the outside part, rather than it just being a square window, square edge, we're just going to run the route around and put like a just an edge on it there. So the actual bit I'm using came with this router, and it's called a Roman Ogre. So I don't know if you can see that very well there. And what it does, it just creates like a nice, hang on a bit, let me turn it. So you can see there, that's the bit it's going to cut out. So it's going to cut a straight bit and then a curve. So it's just going to put a bit of a curve on the edge. And then this little wheel here will sit against the wood. So it'll sit against that wood and roll along, so it cuts a perfect routed bit along there. Like magic. And there we are. So you can see there what the edge is like. It's just put just a little decorative bit on, so you can see it's, we think it's much nicer now just with that on, rather than it just being a flat edge. You can see it better there. Yeah, nice. Looks professional now. An easy way to make wood professional, use a router. Then the next bit is just sorting this out. Just get this square and then give this a little bit of a sand down inside. And then this frame is done, and then it's just to do the next one. So the next job is to put it on hinges so we can hang it. So the hinges we are using are these. So they're butt hinges, and they've got the ball bearing in. Mainly, we've got these mainly because they're stainless steel, so they're perfect for external, which is exactly what we need, so they're not going to corrode or anything. Now these ones are, I'll show you here, they're grade 7. I'm not quite sure what that means, however, something to a fire rating, I think. The size of them is 76 by 51 by 2 mil, so 2 mil is the thickness. And the way you measure hinges, if you're unsure, is, so 51 will be the width. So you can see there 76 by 50. Now 51 is the overall width, not just width of one sides of the butt hinge, it's the overall. And then 76, just move that over, is the height. So that's 76. So these are 76 by 51, and the hinge is going, so if I lift this up, so that will be the door, the window, sorry, it's not a door. So there we are. So the hinge is going to sit on top here, like that. So you'll see the front, like the ball bearing part of the hinge, and then we'll fix this to the window. We'll have to chop it in, so do it properly. So whereas with the door we just screwed it on like that, the windows are a bit tighter, so we actually need to cut a groove out in this to sink that in. So we're just going to use a hammer and chisel to do that, and then the same on the van as well. So I'm just going to crack on with those. window frames are done, and I've just made the beading for the windows. So we've done the same as we did for the door. So we've just cut, let me find the wood. We've got this wood. So this was old, like bed slats off an old door. We've just got, it's like hardwood, so it's perfect for external use. And all we've done is cut that in half, which is made right way around. So we cut it in half, rubbed it down, and then what we've done, we've run the router down the one side, so you can see now we've got a pretty little edge. So we've got an edge on that side anyway, and we've run that pretty little edge down. So that's the bit you'll see, and that's the bit that will be against the window basically. So we've done all those. So that's for the 2 windows ready to go on. So we're going to paint those now. It's getting later in the afternoon, so we're going to paint those so they're dry tomorrow. And Nemi, let's go and find Nemi. Nemi! Here she is. She's enjoying the van. It's very warm in the van now, it's insulated. Well, it's warm out of the cold, should I say. It looks warm, and it's a beautiful day, but it's very cold. So Nemi is hibernating in the igloo. Can't really hibernate in an igloo, can you? But sheltering in an igloo, that's the better word. So yeah, that's the frames, well, that's the windows that Nemi's giving a paint. She's painted the frames ready. The hinges are on. Zoom round again. So hinges are done. Hinges. Frames are done. Windowsills are done. So we'll paint these now. Let them dry overnight. And then all we need to do is hang them, put the beading round, and then cut the Perspex, stick it in. Job done. Simples. I haven't told you that it's taken us all day to get the windows prepped and ready and stuff, but we don't talk about that. Good morning, everybody. Another glorious day. Another morning on the van, all a day on the van. So Nemi's painting again. Coat. What coat's that? Number 3. 2. Oh yeah. Sorry for shouting. Yeah, coat 2 on the windows and the beading. And then Nem's doing another coat number 3 on the window surrounds for added protection. My job is cutting some Perspex to go in the windows and the doors. Well, door, those 2 bits there. So this is Perspex here. Just a big wobbly sheet of plastic. Now this stuff we've got is, you can see there, it's about 5mm, so it's not very thick. The reason we've got this 5mm, we may have gone a bit thicker, however, yet again, it was free. So one of my friends works somewhere that had leftover Perspex sheets, so this is like a brand new piece of Perspex that was just left over, so we're going to use that. So I'll cut those up now while that's paint's drying, and then we can hang the windows, fit the Perspex. Yeah, the end of play today, the plan is to have a watertight home. So the tools I'm using to cut Perspex are obviously tape measure. Got a straight edge, so spirit level. I've also got a straight, we have already checked, it's a very straight piece of wood. I haven't got a long spirit level, so that piece will do there. A couple of clamps just to hold it down while we cut it, and a wood saw. Now we did try and cut this with a jigsaw, and it kind of just made a mess. It wasn't very straight, and it left the edge really rough and naff. Whereas when we built the skylights and cut Perspex, we used a wood saw, and it was much straighter and a much cleaner cut. So we'll do that again. Oh, And the other thing is, one of the best tools to have in your toolbox for vans and anything else is a Sharpie. So because this has got protective, obviously it's not white, this is like a protective layer, and underneath it's got a protective layer. We can doodle on this and it obviously won't mark the Perspex, so I'm going to mark it out now and do some cutting. So this piece will fit. So there's our door. So this piece will go in. Might need a slight little trim, but we've got frosted glass. Right, we're sticking the glass in then. Perspex in. We're using Sikaflex again, just because it's amazing. And when we stuck the Skylight Perspex, it's, yeah, gave us a really good adhesion and a good seal, so I'm a bit worried about putting much of this on so it doesn't splurge out everywhere. But we've got, on this window, we've got like a little bit of bead in there. So we'll just run the Sikaflex round and then stick it on, in theory. Actually, a little tip for silicone and stuff, what I was taught anyway. So if you're putting it in and you want to cover the whole, can you see from there? Because obviously we want to stick our glass to all of that bit of bead in there. If you run it down the edge, as you squish it in, it should squish out and come up to that level then. So rather than, if you put it on the edge, it'll all just come out. Whereas if you put it in the corner and then squidge it, it should bring it out to the edge then. That was just something I was taught by a silicone master.
Back once again with the silicone master.
I don't know what his name was, but he was a master of the silicone, he was. Yeah, the only trouble with this is it's quite messy, so if it does go in places you don't want it, it's a bit of a pain to get off. But, right then. Would you like to peel? And then we missed out on peeling the Skylight, so she's getting she has a weird peel fetish.
Ooh. Ooh yeah.
Enjoy that?
Yeah, I did.
Right then.
Doesn't take much.
At least with Perspex you can kind of see when you squidge it. There we go. So you can see when you squeeze, what I mean by, so if you squeeze it then it pushes it out to the edge so you don't have to push it too far then.
Very easy to please creatures, aren't we? Give us something to peel and something to squidge.
Yeah. Well, the world's a better place when you're easily pleased. Better than being miserable, isn't it? I don't need to do this. I'm just doing it because it's nice to do. So excited to do 3 more of these. There we are. Ta-da! Hang on. It's not actually that messy either.
Hooray!
And if I'm honest, it doesn't need to be epically neat because we're not exactly selling the door, are we? It's our door, so. Look how happy she is. Not only is she peeling, but she's revealing. Peeling and revealing. We got windows. Well, we got window frames. They're in. So we've hinged. We didn't film us hinging because it's not a very pleasant process. So we've done. They're hung. We've put these bits of wood. So Nami that's the bits of beading, and she's sticking on this. Oh, sorry, Dana. Storm guard rubber stuff. It's like P-shaped. So now I'm sticking that to the beading, which will then sit here, just inside. So obviously that will then seal against the window frame. So we've put these bits of wood, so when we push this beading up against the window, it stays flat with the outside of the van. We've glued it, but we're going to use some like little tack nails. They're called steel panel pins, these ones, and they're 40mm long by 1.6mm wide. We didn't want them too wide so we can lose them in the wood, but they need to be long enough to go through the wood.
It's a funny noise in the van today.
One. Here we are. Window. So that push against the beading and onto this, you can see it squidges, look. So very nice.
There's all the chocolate filling in the cake. Yeah, I think it just needs explaining because it looks weird.
Because what, sorry?
I'll attach the window so it's flipped. It's this hole, but it's flipped.
Oh, I see.
Because it looks like we're just Perspexing random bits of the van.
Yeah, well, sort of. If you stand back there, you'll see it more. Because there's gonna be a seat there with if you didn't already know. So obviously that's the hole. There's gonna be a seat right there with a toilet, compost loo. So the idea is, so I can sit and have a turn and look at it.
Poo with the view.
Poo with the view. It's literally gonna be here.
And that's because we're staying at Mama's house at the moment, and her bathroom is the first one I've ever been in that's like you sit on the loo and there's a window right next to you. All the rest of them are like tiled, boring rooms.
That was
But
inspiration.
we're getting used to seeing the pheasants and the
And we're having
peacocks.
putting a lot of little window ledge there so we can put our brew on it while we have so we can have a brew with a poo.
And a view.
We can have a poo with a brew, looking at the view. Oh, God, it's hurt my legs. Anyway, we've got glass to fit here. I'll peel that.
Yes.
Of course you do.
God.
Also, if you're wondering what you might not be wondering, we put arrows on so we knew which. We cut them down. They're slightly different shape. So obviously this is an upside down and back to front, so it won't make sense. But that's a bottom, an upside down bottom, because this is the bottom piece of glass. So yeah, bottom squidge. So yeah, with these we try and get the Sikaflex to right to the edge of the wood, so it, because that's where the rain and the nasties are going to get, so try and squidge as much. You understand? There she is.
Ta-da!
So here we can have, there's our two windows. So now it's time for the big. I'll rip off the.
Go on, you can do it this side. I'll let you.
Let me do it.
Yeah.
Big reveal. It's coming.
Hello! It looks more like a cat's nose. It's a sitting bottom.
It could be something else as well, but we'll guess it.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! What are you doing?
I am filling holes because Ollie just chopped the door in half.
It's
No, we're making well, we thought it was called a barn door. It's actually a Dutch door. Who knew? So yes, we're just slicing it in half, and it's got these little holes and bits in it, so we're filling those so no rain ever comes in anywhere.
naughty rain.
Protect.
Hey everyone, great news! We've completed like the big stage 1 of the build. So now we are fully sealed, watertight. So the windows are in, the seals are in, obviously insulation is done. Yeah, check it out. So hang on. What I will do is show you where we are. Shut that. So we've got, there's the back of the van. So obviously the windows, they're not shut yet, we've got to shut them. So we haven't put any locks for them yet. So all we did is just put a bit of wood across just to seal them for now. But we've got a handle and a lock on the door, so let's go in and have a look. We've got a cool handle, which needs a bit of tweaking because it catches on there, but we don't talk about that. Obviously a lock. So we have the top piece, and obviously the bottom piece there. So it's a bit of an awkward fit now because we've put the seal on, or the storm guard seal, this rubber strip, and it's actually, we did leave a gap between the beading and the door, where the door shuts there, but it turns out this stuff is so good that we had to move the mechanism there out a bit because it was pushing the door out. But yeah, we've put it's all the way around the door, all the way up across the top there, all the way down, and then we've also put it, so if I open the bottom bit there, put a seal bit, because what happens there, I'll show you, when that shuts there is a slight gap, as you can see, very slight gap. So what we've done is we've actually put two pieces in, makes it a little bit stiff, but we'd rather it be properly sealed. There's two bits there. Sorry, the sun's being a bit of a pain. So yeah, there we go. So we have a fully functioning door and a lock, wonderful. And the windows are in. So yeah, it doesn't even look like there's anything there because it's so clean, because it's new. But yeah, all this, we've put the seal, you can just see it there. We've put a seal round, we've put the beading on, put seal round, so then this window shuts onto that then. Which is lovely. So we've got to get some window mechanism. We don't know what to get yet, because we want to be able to have the window open slightly to let a little draft in and be secure, but also we want to see if I can get it, be able to open the window fully and be open to the world. So there's the two windows. Obviously they're still open a bit, but yeah, the top one we can open. We're only restricted by that bit there, but we can open that fully, so that'll be awesome. And then the bottom one will actually open all the way, so we can actually open that one, which we didn't realise until we fitted it. So we can open that, so the whole bottom piece will be open and we can still see through the top piece. How awesome is that? We didn't even realise. And yeah, the Perspex, you can see how it moves a little bit. It's got a little bit of flexing, but we're really surprised at how well it seals on there. It's absolutely amazing. And then we've obviously done the door as well. You can see the reflection with the car. So there is a little bit of flex in it, but not much. And it's so light, like you barely even feel the weight of it. So yeah, that's the back of the van now. So yeah, when I say we've sort of finished stage one, we kind of class this as stage one, which is the not the boring side. It's really exciting, but it's the stuff that you won't really see. So it's all the construction side. So obviously all the walls, the insulation. I mean, it's exciting having the windows in because that will stay. It's all the construction side of it. So then now the flooring's in, we're literally at the stage now where we can start building furniture. So the kitchen's probably the first one to go in because that's the important bit. And then there's a seat going there which we'll build, and then the fridge here, a unit, and then this space is just going to be a nice open space with a chair, a seat, and then the toilet down there. We've put a complete floor in, so that gives us a nice flat surface to work off then. So at least when we're measuring a building, we can work from the floor up. Whereas with the walls, we're not actually, when we build the kitchen like here, we're not putting anything on that wall behind the kitchen because it's a waste of wood, it's pointless. And it's extra weight, which is unnecessary, we don't need it. So anywhere there's going to be furniture like the kitchen, the seat, which is going to come up to roughly where I'm pointing, around there. So all behind that, we're not covering, it's just left exposed. The fridge as well, we've got to make sure, we need to check with the fridge because we've got to keep a piece at the back free for ventilation. So all the other bits like this wall will be exposed, and the back, we've got to see what to, we might just finish off the back with a bit of cladding or something. And then obviously the roof, we've got to find something for the roof, but that'll be like one of the finishing stages for us really, because it's just keeping the wood and the weight to a minimum really. As everyone knows with building vans, you've got to be careful. Plus it's not a target, you know, we've got 3.5 ton to play with this van, which is max weight, but obviously it's not a target. The more weight we put in, the more fuel we use when we travel, and it's a bit more awkward to drive, so just keep it to a minimum. So once again, thanks for watching our videos, guys. It's much appreciated. You took the time out to spend with us. Hopefully we get to see you on the road sometime, which would be awesome. You know, van life community is incredible, and we've met so many fantastic, amazing people. A lot of people have inspired what we've got here with hints, tips, help, and also sneaking into other people's vans and magpieing ideas, which is great. So yeah, that's another thing. But yeah, if we can help out in any way, or if there's anything you've seen you want to ask questions on, or quiz us, or even pick apart what we've done, feel free. We're open to, you know, anything really. You know, we're not experts, as we've explained before. We're not experts in the art of carpentry, joinery, or even van building, but I've got skills from previous jobs. I'm an electrician by trade, so I've worked on building sites, so I've got my hands dirty with things and learned stuff in the trade, so I'm experienced in that way. But obviously I've never built a window, or neither of us have built windows or doors. But there we have it, we have windows and doors. So we just want to show everyone that it's possible for anybody. You can make these, you know, building a van dream come true, which is what we're doing, which is great. And there are people out there to help and inspire and give you advice. So if we can be those people, please reach out, do a comment thing wherever it is. I will learn where it is and point to the right place, but you know where it is. So yeah, keep posted. Hopefully we'll see you soon, and see you in the next one. Cheers, guys. In today's episode of Luton Van Conversioning, Naomi's drawing on the floor. That's where the cooker's gonna go. That's the kitchen, innit? Wow. So yes, we're on the lookout for leaks.